Welcome to the Dice Tower Daily Chat. I am Roy Cannaday, and with me today is Jordan. What's going on, man?
Hey, Roy. What's up, chat?
How's it going? Jordan's normally in the chat on all sorts of different things on the channel. He does lots of different things on Board Game Breakfast. He has stuff on his own channel, and then you do a lot of things on Instagram as well, too, right?
I do most of my stuff on Instagram. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel, but it's pretty dormant most of the month. I do daily stuff on YouTube or on
does it like
Instagram.
hibernate or something, or
it it pops up once a month when I do like this vlog once a month, and then sometimes I do reviews and stuff, but I just never get around to it.
And I know you've done a bunch of stuff with Randy and Ellen as well too. So right, you've done some like live plays, and
yeah, we've done a bunch of live plays with them.
The extremely popular, what is it? The what was the thing called? Oh my goodness, my mind just blanked. The rating of the different games scale. What?
Oh yeah, we did a tier list.
Tier list. I don't know why that slipped my mind.
Tier list with Stefan Feld games, which was a lot of fun. Surprisingly, the Kirbys have never asked me to do another one, so I bet it was a massive hit.
It must have been phenomenal on their channel. You know?
Yeah, the ratings were through the roof. People love talking about games in that format, apparently.
So if people don't know what you do or what goes on in like your board gaming sphere, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Right. So I do most of my board game content creation on Instagram. I do these. You follow me and subscribe and smash the like buttons and stuff.
You're doing the whole artsy gamer thing like Azrael does. Yeah. There's nothing there. You can't actually see it. You're just pointing at board games.
And so at Jordan Plays Blue, and I do what I call a quickly review. So it's a swipeable review. It's kind of like a PowerPoint almost, where it has pictures, bullet points about the game, and then a 1-minute video at the end. And so it's like everything that YouTube or Instagram can do, I try to put together all in one package. And I do 3 a week, which is a lot more work than it looks probably.
Do you use like Photoshop?
And so I do those a lot. I do unboxings. I use a free program called Canva. Yeah, it's like super dumbed down Photoshop. Yeah. I use it for work, so I'm really I can use it very quickly. So I do that, and then I post a vlog on YouTube once a month. I do Board Game Breakfast. I've had a couple segments on Board Game Breakfast, and I don't know. I like to play games. I try to convince other people to play games with me. My wife mostly plays games with me most nights right now because that's all I got to play with right now. And we have friends that played games with us. They live up the street, but then they just got married, so they're too busy for us now. And you know what you did.
No, I'm just kidding.
They know.
It's funny, when I always first saw your videos on Board Game Breakfast, I was always like, is that duct tape behind him? Because like your wall always looked it doesn't look as much like duct tape with the board game shelves in front of it, but it was mostly like you had the one shelf off to the side, and then like it's like he's got a duct tape wall, but it's really big duct tape. How small is Jordan? Is he tiny?
It was who told me that? I think Z told me that at a convention. We were chatting, and he's like, dude, at the studio we're always talking about the duct tape behind you, and I was like, that's not duct tape. It's a fake. It's a fake wall I made. Like it moves and stuff. I should not do that. But it's wood, and I stained it gray, but it came out really shiny, and I'm not super handy, so I just left it like that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's a shiny wooden wall, but I got these shelves, so it fills up more of the empty space, and it looks like I'm an actual like gamer thing.
People look over in the corner. Today, Jordan got his dice guy. It's right above your microphone thing. The other side. It's
this way.
Up there. Yeah. It's him stealing all of the blue pieces out of all of the games.
Apparently, I have built a reputation about doing that, which I'm not sure I have ever done. I don't even own a wheelbarrow, so This is perfect.
So yeah, just hit us up with all sorts of different questions in the chat, and we will see what we can make happen here. It's gonna be weird. Are you gonna go into the chat and do sarcastic questions to yourself like you normally do in everybody else's chat?
I might need to. Maybe somebody will do that for me.
There you go. Gator Dave says, Jordan. Oh, sorry. This is basically what we just covered. What is the wall texture color? It seems very unique. It's a thing, man. It's a thing.
I thought it looked really cool when I did it. I was like,
I don't think it doesn't look uncool. It's just very interesting.
No, it is unique, I guess. It's not a calyx of games, I guess, but it I don't know. I literally built it on the floor because I'm in my basement right now. I have like these really ugly yellow moldy walls everywhere, and so it's just a fake wall that I built for doing videos, and I thought it looked really cool, and the stain just came out really shiny. I like blue a lot, but I also really like gray. That's one of my other favorite colors, and my wife jokes because I always want to paint things gray. I just think it's really calming.
Corelou asks, what are your top 5 Toy Story characters? It's a strange question.
Ooh. No, but I like that question. I remember, so I'm going to stall while I think about it, but I remember seeing Toy Story. I was like, Roy, I think we're about the same age. I was like the perfect age when Toy Story came out.
Oh, yeah.
Like be super into Toy Story. And I remember some of my parents' friends got a bootleg copy they got from somebody filming it in the movie theater. And I remember vividly sitting.
Your parents are pirates, apparently.
My parents' friends were pirates, and because we watched it at their house. And so I remember sitting in their living room watching this movie and just being like in awe that this movie was so incredible.
Your favorite part was when the guy got up and had to go to the bathroom in the middle. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you see the little heads popping. Honestly, I like Woody a lot. Woody would probably be up there, and Rex.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Potato Head, man.
Too. Yeah, he's good. I probably like those two the best, honestly. I know those are pretty boring choices. What about you, Roy? Who are your favorites?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably Woody, Mr. Potato Head, Slinky Dog. I don't know. This is Toy Story. My kids watch Toy Story, but nice. Corley says, nice blue thief dice guy. And Gator Dave also says, nice dice guy.
Oh, I was so excited. I woke up this morning, and I don't know how early Tom wakes up, but he wakes up very early.
Oh, yes.
I swear, whenever I get an email, I wait, like, whenever I get an email from him, I'm, like, waking up to, he's already sent me an email. And it's, yeah, I woke up to that this morning. I was like, oh, today's the day. I get to start with the dice guy. I get to end with the dice guy. This is perfect.
If blue is not available in a game, what color do you choose?
I would pick a color that is like, I would pick a non-color, if that makes sense. So I would pick like white or black or like tan. I would have a hard time with like green or yellow or red. I think I play in like I don't go to like a regular game group all the time, and so I play with a group of friends, and we all have our colors, and so it just is odd. Like my wife's always I'm blue, my wife's green, our friend Rachel is yellow, her husband is red, and we just kind of use those colors in most games, and so I would end up being like white or black, or if one of those isn't an option, I just don't play the game, and I give it a negative review.
Listen, that's the pillar of integrity right there.
I have to have standards.
It's like literally every single game that's on your Instagram, like the color is like the top priority on the scale for the rating.
I'm on on all my reviews, I put a gripe section, like a complaint about the game, and there, I swear, there's been one game I was like, the gripe I came up with was like blue was not a playable color, or like, I was like, honestly, the game would have been great if I could have played it, but.
Have you played games where someone else picks your color and then you end up like moving their piece during the game?
Yeah, yeah, mostly at like if I go to a public game group or like a con, I am generally a nice guy, and I try like not to be like a jerk about it. And so I'll be like, you know, if somebody else had picked blue, or I sit down at the table and somebody's already blue, I'll be like, okay, and I'll kind of tell them like, I'm usually blue. If I touch your pieces, that's why. And then we kind of go for it. But yeah, I will touch blue. There's even like, when I say Cryptid or something, has like 2 different shades of blue. There's like some games that have some weird colors that sometimes it kind of trips me up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gator Dave says, I thought Jordan lived in a shipping container. Gator Dave, always the funny
That's
guy.
fair. That's fair. I do most of my streaming down here also, even though this is like a hole in my house, because the rest of my house is like a cave. I have no lighting anywhere in my house, so I just have like 100 lights surrounding me. So yeah, shipping container is pretty close.
What does this even say? Okay. Try to find some good questions here. Let's see. Strange. Jordan, are your parents basketball fans? Oh, I see. I get it. Also, were you born on the
I don't understand the
23rd?
question.
I guess Michael Jordan? I don't know. It seems so vague.
Oh, Michael Jordan. No, my parents could not tell you a single thing about basketball. I was named after the Jordan River.
There you go.
Yep, it's
Munchkin Gamer says Mr. Pricklepants the Hedgehog and Trixie for Toy Story, I guess. Going back to
those are good. Those are good.
As a dicehedron, have you experienced any anti-dice sentiments in public so far? I guess since you've become a dice guy. Have people... It is interesting.
No, but my wife got something today, or actually.
Oh yeah, about being a dice? Yeah.
Well, no, she got a text from a relative and was like, "Dude, what's up with Jordan's Facebook picture?" And she had to explain it to them, and they're like, "Oh, he's such a nerd," and that was how that went. Yeah.
I always find it interesting, like the sides that like each character is. It's like yours is a 12-sided dice and mine's a 8-sided dice. It's like, I wonder if you can like create a common bondship with people that are the same sided dice. I know that Eric's an 8-sided as well.
Yeah. I noticed the Our Family Plays Games, because they just posted theirs today. I think they were 10-sided dice.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. So I mean, I bet we could probably. I bet if like we're all together at a con or something, we could like divvy up sides and like
play a team game, but it's all dependent on the sides that you are. But it needs to be a game that you also have to roll that side. I don't know how that would be fair, but there's a game.
Yeah, I told Candace, I was like, the artist must have thought I was really round. It feels like a really round dice.
Tina's awesome. Like Tina does all of our art for all the stuff. She does all the dice animals and everything like that. She actually came to Gen Con with us last year. So I think it's been a year since I've seen Tina, but she's amazing at doing all that stuff. She did drawings for people like at the Dice Tower booth for like different dice guys and stuff like that. That was pretty cool.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Corelou asks, what is Jordan's origin story as a gamer and with the Dice Tower?
Okay. That's a good question. I could have prepared for this one. So as a gamer, So I grew up playing games. I think a lot of people say that, but so my house, I didn't think anything of it. But growing up, my parents just had a cabinet of games, and I don't remember them purchasing any games my entire life. Like these games were at the house before I was born, and these were the games that existed until I was in college. And so we had, some regular kind of like Monopoly, Sorry, those kind of games. But we also had a whole bunch of 3M bookshelf games.
Oh, nice.
And so we had a choir. We had a game called Jumpin', which was like an abstract kind of game where you jump, kind of like Chinese checkers but different.
Oh,
And then we
gotcha.
had Facts and Five, which is like a kind of categories on drugs kind of thing. It was like huge, and we would play those games, and I really really enjoyed them. And I remember we would play Acquire like maybe twice a year, and it was like this event in our house. Like we would pull out this Lazy Susan and pull out all the tiles on the Lazy Susan so everybody could get the pieces. And it was the old
nice.
3M edition with the pieces that stuck into each other, and it never felt like different than other games. And so that's how I grew up playing that kind of stuff. But then when I went to college and then after I graduated, it was probably around 2009. That's when I kind of mark my when I entered the hobby, because that's when I did my first board game order.
Yeah.
So I went to my best friend's brother-in-law invited us over for a game day, and I had played Catan up until that point, and I really enjoyed Catan. Mm-hmm. But at that game day, we played Puerto Rico and Robo Rally, and literally that night, I spent over $100 on cool stuff and ordered
holy smokes
7 games. I was hooked at that point.
You caught the bug.
I didn't even buy Puerto Rico and Robo Rally. I was like, I've played them. I'm moving on. and so I don't remember all the games in that order, but it was like I went on Board Game Geek and literally, because I already knew I liked Catan, I liked Puerto Rico, and so I found games that looked like them, literally looked through and said boring guy on cover. I looked for games like that, and I ended up with Tigris and Euphrates, Carcassonne. I can't remember which ones I bought, and then through them I would look through the little ad book that came in there, and
nice.
Buy games that were in the little ad book from Rio Grande or Z-Man or whoever was making the games at that point. Mm-hmm. And it was just awesome. And I just started buying these games. I'd buy them for other people, trying to convince them to play games with me. They would never play them, and then I would end up being like, hey, you're never playing this game, can I just have it back? And I'd take it back. I would do weird stuff like that. And I so it's been a 10 years, and through that time I only own 100 games, and I get rid of a lot of games. I buy games all the time. I get games for reviews. I'm constantly getting rid of games, getting new games, that kind of stuff.
What made you transition from just playing games to wanting to be a part of the Dice Tower?
I tried to make a review. I don't remember what year it was. I had one of those flip cameras that I don't know. I had a flip camera, and I tried to make a review of. I went on Board Game Geek, and I was looking. I remember watching Scott Nicholson reviews a lot, and I was like, I could do this. And so there weren't a ton of video reviews, and I tried to make one for 10 Days in the USA. I vividly remember this, and I didn't like I wasn't happy with it, and so I just never posted it. I never did anything with it, and so it was always in my mind. And then I don't remember. I went on Dice Tower Cruise a couple years ago, and I remember sitting there and seeing everybody who was with the Dice Tower, and just kind of thinking if they can do it, I can do this. And no offense, but it was kind of a grounding moment, I guess, at that point, because I was I wanted to do it, but I never felt I was qualified or something like that. I got a bonus at work and bought some equipment and just kind of went from there. Emailed Tom, and Tom, did his email back and forth thing about cutting the audition tape down, and then it just showed up one day, and suddenly it was in. So
that's awesome. Yeah,
I just never stopped.
I think it's funny because I have reviews on a YouTube channel of mine from over 7 years ago. I reviewed Onirim way before Z ever reviewed it, way back in the day, and I have a Dracon review. And it's so funny. I had this little camera, and it was just me. This was way before my kids were born, forever ago. Yeah. Way before I like back when I first started doing like getting really big into board games, I'm like, man, these videos are
Yeah.
really old. It's just so funny to see like videos that old that I took a long time ago.
I know, and like the one I did with the that 10 Days in the USA, honestly, if I would have posted it back then, it would have been like, it probably would have been like just in line with what everybody else was doing at the time. But I was just like, I want to do something better. Like I wanted it to look nicer, and it just didn't meet what I wanted to do. And now I just felt like I could do it now. So
Right.
you do it. If anybody wants to do it, you just do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's my main thing that I tell people, that like if there's somebody who wants to get into board game media, it's literally like turning on the camera and making it happen. And I mean, you're gonna progress and get better. Everybody this day has a smartphone, and the cameras in these are like way better than the cameras we used to record videos with like back in the day. You know, anybody can do it, and like especially like with Favorite Game Friday and stuff like that, it's so simple. Like you're just saying the name of a game. There've been so many people that have come through like that show and gone on to do more stuff because they're nervous in front of the camera at first, but then if they can just say the name of a game, then they're like, hey, I want to do more than just say the name of a game. I want to create a review video or create, a segment talking about a certain topic.
Yeah. No, it's super true. I honestly, I use my iPhone to film everything. I use iMovie to edit everything. Like, I've never paid for a software. Everything I pay for, I've bought lights, I've bought microphones, and I got a table off Craigslist that I sit at, and the chair was in my basement already.
When I first started Favorite Game Friday, I was editing it all on my phone. Like I had the Google Drive, and I would get everybody to submit to the Google Drive, and I would download them all on my phone and then put them all in iMovie. And I was actually putting the names of everybody at the bottom at the time, so I'd put everybody's name in, and then I would render that out on a phone, which takes forever.
Program to program to program, like bouncing it around.
Yeah, basically. And then I had to actually put it up on YouTube. But I was putting it up on YouTube from my phone, which takes forever. And it's like, man, it's so much easier to do it on an actual computer. But you can, and normally you're not having to compile a whole bunch of other people's clips together, unless that's your thing,
Yeah, I do all my Instagram stuff on my phone, and I edit it on my phone because I have to upload it from my phone for Instagram. You can't do that on your desktop, and so. It's just easier to do it that way, and then Instagram compresses everything down so much. I don't have to worry about what the quality is because it's going to look the same regardless of what I film it on anyway, because that's just how Instagram is.
Instagram and Facebook are terrible about that. I hate when you have like a really nice quality video and you like throw it up on Facebook. I'm like, now it looks bad.
It's the worst.
Gator Dave asks, what's your favorite game mechanic?
What's that?
Gator Dave asks, what's your favorite game mechanic?
Oh. I like card drafting a lot. I think that's a lot of fun. I would say card drafting. I like when games mix mechanics a lot, but are still like really streamlined, if that makes sense. So like games that have a couple different things going on, but they're not convoluted. If that makes sense. I like things to be really kind of streamlined and pure in mechanics. So, but I'm pretty broad when it comes to types of games. I'm pretty cool with that.
Gator Dave also asks, question for Roy and Jordan, what is the oddest place you've been recognized because of being a board game media personality? I'm sure you get recognized everywhere you go. I mean, they know you play board pieces and you carry around a wheelbarrow all the time.
I haven't been recognized anywhere outside of
cons.
Game. Yeah, it's all been cons or There was one. I was recognized by one person who watched. So it was before Dice Tower Cruise. We were at the hotel in the snack, like the little store inside the hotel. She didn't recognize my name, but she remembered that I was from Pittsburgh because she is from Pittsburgh. And so she like looked at me and said, Pittsburgh. And I was like, yes. And she knew I was like, I did videos and stuff, but didn't remember my name, but remembered where I lived. That was probably, and so the rest of the cruise, like I honestly, Unfortunately, I don't remember her name either.
You just need to find her and just be like, Pittsburgh. What's up, Pittsburgh?
The whole cruise, we'd see each other on the cruise, and we would just point and say Pittsburgh, and she'd say Pittsburgh, and then we would go our separate ways. We never played a game. We just went about our ways, and it was wonderful. And
awesome.
We forever have that connection. And I don't know if she's in the chat, but if you watch this video, you should comment below.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
For me, I was actually my last job before at the Dice Tower. I was applying to work at a distribution center that distributed Mexican food. They would import Mexican food from like Texas and stuff, and like we would send it out to all these different like Mexican restaurants and Mexican like little mom and pop shops and all that stuff. We would send out trucks to all of those places. But I was interviewing for the job there, so I'm like, I mean, I worked in like basically management and Target for forever. So I was like, this interview's no smoke. Like, this is going to be easy. I'm sitting there with the HR person, and one of the people that works in the office came in and they're like, are you Roy from the Dice Tower? Like, you do board game videos? Like, in the middle of my interview with the HR. And I'm just like, yeah, that's me. And they're like, oh man, my friend loves board games. And like, he's like working on a game and stuff. Like, can I get your phone number to give it to him? And I'm just kind of like, okay. And then like I had to explain that to the HR who was currently interviewing me for a job. Like, yeah, I do board game videos, and which is kind of funny thinking back on it, because I left that job to come work for the Dice Tower. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, this it actually did come.
It really validates where it came full circle.
But yeah, that was so strange. It's like, yes, the strangest place was definitely in the middle of a job interview. I got recognized for being part of the Dice Tower. What?
I like
this
it.
Is strange.
I like
this
it.
This is really strange.
Oh, I see my buddy Neil, Lighter Egg. He keeps asking about Jordan in the field, and I'm sure nobody understands what that is referring to. So Neil, I actually met on the Dice Tower cruise. He's our cruise buddy.
Nice.
We were on the same cruise for the first time together, first timers for both of us, and yeah, it's been great. But he is referring to a stint I did before I was on the Dice Tower, where I would post comments on YouTube videos. So if anybody's familiar with the channel, This Game is Broken. Mm-hmm. Matthew Jude used to do a news, unbalanced news series. Yeah. And so he ended one of his videos saying, and now we'll turn it to Jordan in the field, who's, I don't know, researching packs of wolves or something off the wall. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching that and thinking, my name's Jordan. And so I started doing field reports in the comments of these unbalanced videos. And I would do a paragraph every day of the week up until the next field assignment that I received. And nobody cared. Nobody liked them. Nobody ever saw them, except for Neil, who, this is funny. I was recognized for these stupid YouTube comments I was making. When on the cruise, he's like, "You're Jordan in the field?" I was like, "I'm Jordan in the field." I was like, "Nobody." So yes, and since that series has ended, and Matthew Jude is now big leagues with everybody else now.
Now you have to go to Watch It Played and start doing your field reports there.
He's too big for me. So yeah, Jordan has been, I was like the phantom sixth member of This Game is Broken that they didn't know about. And
they thumbs down and deleted all your comments.
They might be there if somebody wants to go in and just like stroke my ego a little bit and just give me some thumbs up on my witty comments about snakes and bears. That'd be great.
That's awesome.
It's some of my proudest work.
Corelou says she's trying to find holes in your backstory. Wait, you already know about BGG? Because you started saying that you. But when you found
Google,
about games,
I just Googled. You Google board games and you find BGG.
Yes, if you type any name of a board game, one of the first things that pops up is the BGG thing for it. So.
Yeah, and I watched reviews, and the Dice Tower was like, buy stuff from Cool Stuff, and I was like, okay, and they had $100 shipping. So yes, I knew about Cool Stuff too. So take
nice.
that, Corelou.
Gator Dave says, "What is one of your Grail games?"
So about Acquire, I don't own Acquire. I will get it when my parents die. That's known in the family. But I really want the Avalon Hill edition. It's like the big box with the big plastic hotel pieces. Because most of the other editions have been like little cardboard chips, and I really want that. I think it's the Avalon Hill edition that has the big plastic pieces. That would be my Grail game.
That's awesome. I think for me, it's still the giant wooden boxed War of the Ring, because Jason has it, and I feel like I can sneak it out of his house without him noticing. But I actually talked him into playing it the other day, so he might be paying more attention to it than he used to. I don't know. Did they
just do like one print run of that? Like it was super.
It's
like,
back in the day, yeah. Because they've put out a like collector's edition that's not as nice since then. So the original one was made, I guess, it was some sort of collaboration with Fantasy Flight. Maybe Fantasy Flight made that one, and then the other one Ares made. But the one in the wooden box is just crazy because it's a wooden box and there's all these nice trays and everything's all painted and everything's just like super deluxe in it, which is crazy. What's the biggest lesson you have learned from doing board game media from a first-time commenter, Kabuki Kid?
Oh, welcome, Kabuki Kid. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining the channel.
Biggest lesson. I mean, I think there's a lot of humility in it when you're starting out, because there are a lot of people doing it, and so I think you're definitely a little fish for a long time, and I'm still a little bit of a bigger fish than I was a year ago, but I'm still a tiny fish. Like and so like when I first started like emailing publishers about games, or and I remember just like being so surprised when so like being a little guy in that big pond, but also being so surprised and impressed at like the generosity in the hobby. Or like I would reach out to a publisher and be like, hey, I'm just getting started. I wanted to see if you'd be cool if I looked at some of your games. And some publishers would be like, yeah, I'll shoot you a game, It could be like a game that is literally like a rule book and 5 dice, It could be like the first review copy of a game I ever got was Martian Dice, which I'm sure cost Tasty Minstrel a whole like 30 cents to send to me. But it was just like I don't know, just like the willingness to like be like, okay, there's this little guy trying to do something. And I think that was really cool. But I think there is a lot of humility even now as I'm like trying to like do the reviewer grind. Just like constantly like, you get told no a lot. You get no responses to emails a lot. You get other people, somehow they just showed up on the scene and they're already way up here and you're still like, oh, okay, I'm still marching up here. So I think there's a lot of humility, and you get put in your place a lot. You just gotta remind yourself that, okay, yep, I'm just Jordan Plays Blue on Instagram.
Do you ever feel like pressured to like always have like new content all the time? Like you always have to have a new game, or you have to get like the newest game because it needs to be covered, because that's what's gonna get the most traction, I always felt like that, especially when I was doing my podcast. It was like, oh.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this week because Gen Con is online, and I don't get to do my little like reviewer hustle at conventions. It's super weird right now because usually at conventions, if other folks don't know, like I would try to be scheduling like demos and private meetings with publishers to get looks at games. That's where I would pick up a lot of review copies of games. And a little insider trick, when you see like a content creator like come home from like Gen Con with like 20 games that they got, those are probably review copies. They didn't like dish out $700, so don't feel any pressure.
I had a friend that would dish out $700, and
well, I'm sure there are people that do that. I'm just saying, don't feel like that pressure because you see all these pictures of people doing it. So yeah, it's weird, but I do. I mean, I do feel some pressure to try to get new stuff out. some of that pressure is on me. Like nobody says I need to do 3 reviews a week, but that's something I put on myself as like a I don't know, just something that to keep me going, because I didn't have those kind of goals. It's really easy to just kind of like rest on your laurels and move on to something else. And I really enjoy doing this. And so I find it better when I'm like working towards something. And so I put that 3 reviews a week on my schedule. If I miss one, I miss one, but I'll just shoot for the next one, And so, but I try to also post something every week, whether it's an unboxing, even just as a photo of a game. I try to do that. But yeah, honestly, trying to get new games is, there does feel like there's pressure there, because I see, I'm in reviewer groups online. I'm trying to look at stuff that's interesting, but I also I know what my wheelhouse is, and so I don't try to go for everything. I know what works for my review format. I know what kind of games I like to play. And so I'll usually go for those, like the Fantasy Flight, in-flight report yesterday. I watched. I'm interested, but none of those games would work in my review format.
Right.
So it's not worth me hustling to try to get one of the first looks at the Twilight Imperium expansion. Would I play it someday? Sure, maybe if I was presented with that option. But it's not like something I'm going to be hunting down, because it's not going to work for me.
I would love to have the new Twilight Imperium expansion, but it's like, oh man, I haven't played. Like, I normally play Twilight Imperium once a year, and I haven't gotten to play it this year. I mean, due to certain circumstances.
Oh,
I mean, I'm sure I could make a tabletop simulator day happen, but it's like, man, that game's so big, and then you throw it on tabletop simulator, it's going to make it take even longer, because tabletop simulator doesn't normally make a game go faster, So, but oh my goodness.
No.
At some point.
I've never seen that to be the case.
What game has been the most surprising, good or bad, between the moment you open the box and you finish the game?
Most surprising. I don't know. Clank. I remember. Generic fantasy is not usually my thing, and I generally I wouldn't say Clank's artwork is its strong suit.
Gotcha.
And I remember seeing Clank and thinking like, okay, this game has a dumb name. I don't like how it looks. The theme is super not interesting to me. But I remember I was at a game cafe. We were on a trip out of town for a wedding, and my wife and I went to a game cafe, and a guy came up to us, and we're like, what would you recommend? We'll play whatever. And he's like, well, I'll teach you something. And so he pulled Clank off the shelf. And I remember like, I rolled my eyes thinking, great, I know about this game. I know I'm not going to like this game. This is like all these checks against it, because I already knew what the name was, and I didn't like the name. And I already knew I didn't like the artwork. So obviously I'm not going to like the game. And I remember by the end of the game, just like wide-eyed, like, what is wrong with me? This game is so fantastic. And I came home and bought it like very quickly after that. So that is one game, and I still kind of hold those biases against games like that. But I've also found that I should not.
Wait.
But yeah, honestly, probably Clank.
When we did the game of Just One or whatever, was it you that said you hadn't watched Lord of the Rings?
That was me.
Chat, Jordan hasn't watched Lord of the Rings.
No, that's partially not true. I watched part of the first one, and I fell asleep.
Get him! No, I'm just kidding.
And never watched the rest.
It's
that
funny.
Might be worse, actually.
I had one of the guys from Gameling Games, Sam, on, and people were just like, "What in the?" We just talked about Lord of the Rings for like the second half of our entire thing. So I'm a super nerd. I'm sorry.
I couldn't do that. No, one of the it was funny. One of the Jordan in the Field things. It was something about what's the mountain or the volcano or something.
Mount Doom.
Maybe Mount Doom. and Matthew Jude said something about he's going to be exploring Mount Doom. And I was like, I don't know what that is. So I had to do research to like type up these paragraphs about what I was doing at Mount Doom. And I remember messaging Matthew. I was like, dude, what's with them? What's with this? He's like, I was like, I had to do all this research about Lord of the Rings. He's like, I didn't know that was a Lord of the Rings reference. I just thought it sounded cool, or I had heard of it, or didn't know what that was, or something. I was like, oh. So I had to do like research about Lord of the Rings so I could do this field report. So you guys can all find that report and correct me on all of my stuff I messed up in the Tolkien lore.
Kabuki Kid asks, what is the best old school arcade video game? I'm sure Kabuki Kid's going to be judging on how old school you go or what you determine old school
right?
is.
So I am not old enough to have frequented arcades. I'll admit that. I can't control my age or the circumstances around society at that time, so that's true. But I remember playing arcade type games on my computer and stuff. I would probably say Pitfall. I think that's an arcade game. It's like a side scroller where you're going through a jungle and jumping over snakes and swinging on vines and stuff. I like that one.
Dude, I used to love the old school X-Men game, like the one you could play multiplayer, like 4 players, and each controller was a different one of the X-Men.
Yeah.
But that game, if you're playing it at the arcade, like kills quarters.
Oh, I'm sure.
Run out of quarters so fast. Awesome.
Yeah, I also kind of grew up in the country, so there wasn't really stuff like that.
Everybody's
wow, there's a lot of questions. I feel like we've answered like 2 questions.
Yeah, that's normally how these things go. I
goes.
mean, it's hard to get to everything, so I just try to find ones that look super cool. There's a lot of things that are just things and not actually questions.
Right.
Okay. Munching Gamer says, do you play any musical instruments? It shouldn't take that long to answer if you play any musical instruments. You either do or you don't.
Oh, you cut out. I'm sorry. I don't.
Okay.
I used to own a guitar, and nope. I tried. I didn't. I don't. I always wanted to. I always wanted to, just never did. That's how it goes.
Jonah's in the chat. What's up, Jonah?
What's up, Jonah?
Do you turn off... Let's see here. Do you turn off reviews or a bad game by any means or pull all out? So, what does this mean?
What does that mean?
Do you turn off reviews for a bad game by any means, or do you... So let's say, I'm just going to rephrase this a little bit. I guess if a game is bad, would you like pull back on reviews, or do you just go all out on a game that's bad?
I see. In a review setting. I thought it meant like if I'm watching a review and the game looks bad, if I turned off the review.
I mean, either way.
I do that. I do that. No, if I'm reviewing a game and I don't like the game, I will... So, I don't really know anybody that likes to do negative reviews.
Yeah.
I think people like to watch negative reviews, but I don't like to do negative reviews. I remember once I did a negative review, and somebody commented like, "Oh, thanks for the honest review," as if my positive ones weren't honest.
Right, yeah, it's always...
No, I generally I always ask for games that I think I'm going to like in the first place. But no, it happens that I don't like games. I will give negative reviews. I generally don't like slam games. I think there's usually something that's maybe there for somebody.
Yeah.
So I'll try to find something positive about it. But I remember one game I looked like as if I own it still. No, I don't have it. There was this one game. It was like, if you ever played Farkle, we're just rolling dice really quickly, which my family likes, and I will partake in that activity with them if I need to. But there was this other game, and it was sort of a riff off of that. But like the production was bad. There were misspellings on cards. The graphic design made it harder to play. The dice were cheap. Like it was like the complete package of a bad game. And I remember reviewing it, and I was probably harsher on that one than most games, but it was just kind of like not great. But I remember a quote from a buddy when we were playing the game. We was playing the game, and he said, "This game is so bad when I'm actually having fun. And I put that in my review because I was like, this is a bad game. Like, objectively, this is not good. But I played it with people that had fun. And I'm going to tell you that. So yeah, I'm probably not going to throw a game off a roof or burn it or anything like that. That's probably not my style.
Kind of interesting because a lot of playing games, you can still have fun depending on the group you're playing with. You know, if you have friends that can make fun or make light of whatever you're doing, you can still have an enjoyable time. But you could be like, yeah, we're not playing that again. You know?
Yeah.
So good stuff. As far as like watching reviews, like how do you watch a review? Like say you're gonna watch any person's review. Do you like watch the intro of it, or do you skip to the overview, or do you go straight to the like final thoughts? Like, is there a format that you watch a review in?
Yes, actually, and I was just thinking about that the other day because I've partially set up my reviews based off of how I watch reviews. I don't do a whole lot of rules overview because I feel like people aren't going to come to what I create to learn the game. There are other people that do that, and so I will generally give a very quick overview. And I would even say like what Tom and what you guys do at the Dice Tower is longer than what I would generally do. I would generally look at the overview to see what the game looks like, not learn how the game plays. I want to see how it looks like, and then I want to hear what they think about the game. Because generally in what they think about the game, they talk about how the game plays. And I like when they talk about like what that experience feels like to them. And so generally like I watched Tom's Pendulum review today. Speaking of, I guess it wasn't fully negative, but it was kind of a middling review. I watched the intro. I watched him drop everything on the table. I saw what the setup of the game looked like for like a minute or two, and then I skipped straight to the components where he talked about what he thought about the components, and then the rest of the review, and I watched all of that section. That's generally how I watch almost all reviews. Like Rado's reviews, I will watch his if I want to learn how to play the game, because he'll do like those I'll watch like a turn or two. I won't watch the whole thing. I'll watch like a turn or two, get my feet under me, and then if he does one of those final thoughts videos, I'll watch that. But I won't watch the whole thing. So it just depends on the person.
It depends on my interest in the game, on like how I watch a review or what it is. Like if I know I really want that game and that's probably going to be a game for me, I'll just watch the entire thing, like look at the overview and be like, okay, that's how that works, how this works. And part of like my excitement, like I love that. If I'm just interested in the game, I will immediately go to final thoughts, see if it's good or not. If then it sounds like something that I want, then I'll go back and maybe watch like the rule stuff. If like I own the game and haven't actually played it yet, I will definitely watch that overview part, It's got like, it's not going to teach me the rules of the game, but I can get the concepts of the game. So when I go through the rule book, I'm gonna like know how the game works a little bit better. So I watch reviews in all sorts of weird orders depending on how interested I'm actually in the game, We've actually started putting basically like timers in all of our stuff. You can do like timestamps for all the stuff on YouTube now.
Yeah.
So you can now skip to like the final thoughts or skip to the overview if you don't want to see like the intro and stuff like that as well. So that helps out with people that like to see the review sort of in a different order or just want to know, Sometimes the game looks really bad and I'm like, oh, let me see what they think about this game,
Oh, yeah.
Need it for that entertainment value. Gator Dave says, Pittsburgh!
Pittsburgh.
You're probably going to get that now. When people see you, they're going to be like, Pittsburgh.
That's fine.
Hold on, let me change your name to Pittsburgh. I'm going to change your name to Pittsburgh right here on the top of the chat real quick. I'm going to resume streaming. And we're back!
We're here.
I think we're back. Hopefully we're back. Anyway, so Corelou asks,
wait, real quick. I want to point out that Gator Dave misspelled Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania has an H on the end. Every other Pittsburgh in the country has no H. So I'm from the OG Pittsburgh.
There you go. Corelou says, how many games are in your personal collection, including games that you gifted then rescued? I'm not quite sure what that means.
Oh, because I talked about how I gave games to like people and then they never played them, so I took them back.
So you gave them something for yourself almost?
Well, isn't that what we all do when we first get into games? We're like, hey, you want to play these games with me, obviously, and I think you're going to like this game because I'm going to like this game. That's what we all do. We all have that phase. I hover around 100 games in my collection. I would say most of the games behind me are here for set dressing, and a lot of these games would not be ones I would typically keep. Most of the games I play are upstairs in my dining room. So yeah, I rotate through a lot of games. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have opportunities to win mystery boxes of random games that I get rid of.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Kabuki Kid asks, are there any good TV or movies you have seen recently? This is apparently Kabuki Kid's like third comment ever on the channel. That's crazy.
Oh, she is really putting herself out there. Trying to think. We're rewatching Umbrella Academy because that's
nice.
New one's coming out tomorrow, I think. So we're trying to blast through that this week. We are super behind, but I mean I've seen it, so we're just doing a rewatch of that. We just finished Sneaky Pete. I don't know if you've seen that. That's on Amazon Prime. It is a kind of a heist, but it's a TV show, and it's on for 3 seasons. And so each season, it's about this guy who gets out of jail, and he assumes the identity of his cellmate. And so he like gets in, like becomes a member of this family because they haven't seen their cousin for a really long time, and so he becomes that cousin and assumes his identity, and then he like does these like cons throughout the season, and so each season culminates in like a big con. It was on for a couple seasons. We super enjoyed the Sneaky Pete.
Oh, nice.
And then I'm always watching a Star Wars series. So
do you watch a lot of the like animated and cartoons and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, I honestly I think the television series Star Wars, so Mandalorian, Clone Wars, and Rebels.
That's the one with Baby Yoda, right? Baby Yoda?
It is. The child. I would say that those three series I would put above almost every Star Wars movie. I think Star Wars works super well in a TV format because it's able to do a lot more world building, where in the movies they're like focused on like hyper focused on action or plot points or something like that, where in the shows you can really explore a lot of the characters and the planets and stuff like that. And I think that stuff is super interesting. So yeah.
If you had to pick one of the movies as your favorite, which one do you like the most?
I usually say the Return of the Jedi. I think that one has always been my favorite, but I do like all 3 new movies a lot. I know that's probably not super popular to say, but I do really like them. I thought the writing was a little better than the older ones. Yeah.
I think probably I liked Return of the Jedi a lot, but then I really also enjoy Rogue One was amazing, I thought. So.
Yes. Outside of those of the trilogies, Rogue One is so good. I love Rogue One.
Do you play any of like the Star Wars board games, or it's just mostly just you like the shows and stuff?
I have not, and it's not because I don't want to. I just haven't had the opportunity. I know Rebellion is generally a longer game.
Yeah, it's huge. It's epic. It's sprawling, but it feels a lot like you're doing the Star Wars for sure.
I really want to do it. I just haven't had a person to do it with. Mm-hmm. I think Outer Rim would be super my speed. I just haven't gotten my hands on it. So someday, but I really want to. I had Destiny. I played that with my nephew a couple times, but just roll some dice and do some stuff.
Roy or Jordan, any good inside jokes with the Dice Tower peeps? Sometimes I forget how many inside jokes we have. We have so many inside jokes in the studio with the guys. It's insane.
Yeah, I'm not at the studio, so I'm not privy to most of those.
It's funny though, because I feel like sometimes the inside jokes slip into the videos and then it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's funny to us, but people are just like, why did he say that? It doesn't, like, what?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think within Dice Tower, like, we hang out online, or like we'll do games together and stuff like that. So I think between individuals we have stuff, you know. I know, like, we played that a couple games of Just One, and there was some good. I feel like party games, those are just like inside joke machines. They just kind of churn out inside jokes.
And you've played in several of Tom's Werewolf games as well, right?
Yes. Roy and I had an interaction in.
Dude, that was the worst game. I played twice, and I died the very beginning both times. The first time I was lynched.
Only once was my fault.
Yeah, I was lynched on the second day. The other time, I was good, and the werewolves just wrecked me the first night. So it's just kind of like, well, what do I do, you know?
Yeah, the one game, I was the Lycan, so I looked like a werewolf, but I wasn't a werewolf. And so the seer had looked and checked that Roy was a werewolf.
On the very first night, and it was Jason, so he was so loud about it. So loud. Like, Jason is loud.
He is intense. He is playing werewolf. He is, like, hyper focused, and that is not how I play games. And so he but Roy's like, no, I'm not a werewolf. You saw me as a werewolf, but I'm just the Lycan.
I had to say something, right? I had to say, like, I had no choice.
It was the only move.
If the seer calls me out and I was a werewolf,
it was the only move you had.
My only other move would have been like, no, I'm the seer, and this person, I don't know.
It was the only move you had. So then I was just like, oh, excuse me, I am actually the Lycan. And everybody's like,
and that was all you had to do. That was all you had to do.
Everybody believes Jordan. And so, yeah, we won.
And it was still funny, because even, like, way late in the game, they were like, well, what if Jordan isn't actually the Lycan? I'm like, I know. Why are they so confused? I'm so confused.
At some point, Jason, like, put, like, a little seed into somebody, like, but if Jordan wasn't telling the truth, and everybody's like, well, if Jordan isn't the Lycan, and I was like, excuse me, I am still the Lycan. And I had to keep reminding them of that fact.
Died and I was a werewolf, so obviously I was...
You weren't the Lycan, so it would have been somebody else who didn't reveal themselves. Whatever. Yep.
Yeah, those games are so fun because they create those sort of moments that, like, you kind of remember, and it's like, oh, this high pressure, high tension, especially when you get down to, like, the very end. It creates crazy excitement. I mean, it has its problems, like there's player elimination, and sometimes you can just not really get to play the game, like both times I played, but it's still really fun to see the outcome of the game and all the drama that happens within it.
Yeah.
And I think we put one of the ones up. Neither of us were in the one that we actually put up on the channel.
No. I think we were both in the game that Tom had recorded, quote unquote, 2 games, and we were in the one that didn't have proper film. So
that makes me sad because, like, I was hamming it up so much during that. Like, I had signs I was holding up saying how much of a jerk Jason is, and it was fun. But man, the other game I was the jailer, and I was allowed to talk to somebody during the night. And so the first person I talked to was Jason because he's so loud. Because I'm like, if Jason's okay and he knows I'm good, we're gonna be okay. So I was like, Jason, are you a werewolf? He's like, no, I think this and this and this and this. I'm like, okay, don't lie to me. And then he killed me. So
that's the thing. Yep.
He's like, he told everybody else, Roy's a jailer, let's kill him now. It's like, oh, great, cool. I was like, you could have tried to convince me.
You didn't stand a chance, yeah.
So both games. Awesome, man. Yeah. Well, I think we're pretty much at time here. So, hey, if people want to check out more of your stuff, or they want to see about, like, where all the blue pieces in their games are going, like if they have to, like, try to figure out how the blue pieces are currently doing while they're being held hostage, where should they go to find out more about you?
Oh, definitely. You should definitely check me out at Instagram.com/JordanPlaysBlue. You can also find me on YouTube.com/JordanPlaysBlue. You can also find me at Twitter @JordanPlaysBlue. I really nailing that branding home to everybody.
Which color do you play?
Usually blue, sometimes white.
I think that was the first question. So
it's actually Jordan Plays Blue / sometimes white. So, but it was too long. It didn't fit. They only allow so many characters, so it was blue.
It makes it easier for Twitter, especially when you're limited to that 140 characters if your name's not as long. So
yeah, but yeah, follow me. This summer I'm doing publisher spotlight, so each week I'm highlighting a different publisher, and I'm only reviewing their games and doing some previews of upcoming games, which has been a lot of fun. This week I did Deepwater Games, and so I got to look at the new. I honestly don't think I covered a single game that's released, which is really cool.
Cool.
So I did.
Did you
Sovereign
do that new
Skies.
space game? Yeah, the Sovereign
Skies. It's right here. The box.
Oh, you
is
got the
super
shiny box. It is so shiny.
It's so shiny, and I really like it. It's really good. It's like a light Euro game with a rondel, right up my speed, right up my alley. Monstrosity, which is a drawing game. Cristallo, which is a solo game. Seven Summits, which is a new game by the team behind Sagrada. It's awesome, and everybody should check out my stuff, and it's lots of fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Jordan, and I'm sure we'll see you around in chat on breakfast and things like that. But thanks, everybody, for joining us here on the Daily Chat, and we'll see everybody next time.
Cool. See ya.
Bye.